Welcome back to Adventures in Randomia, my solo Dungeons & Dragons adventure series. This is episode 14, in which we discover the truth of what is happening on the ship the Frosty Maiden, and we find out what has caused the noise which disturbed Clarissa in her cabin. Thank you to all of you who offered such fantastic ideas and suggestions for this episode. I hope you enjoy it, and please do let me know in the comments. Also, if you're enjoying this series and would like to download the graphics, then please consider supporting me on Patreon using the link in the description below. Last time, Freya, Clarissa and Connor boarded the ship the Frosty Maiden, bound for the northern port of Everpool. The trio spent a quiet couple of days, only marred by a bout of food poisoning suffered by Clarissa and the captain. From the ship's captain, Connor learned more about the region of Donamara to the west, from which his family originated. Freya did a successful bit of sea fishing. On the third day at sea, Clarissa was feeling better as her sickness had passed, but she decided to remain in her cabin to rest after her illness. Then we found out that she heard a loud noise coming from the ship's office nearby on the lower deck. So we rolled on the story elements table to discover what this noise is. The dice rolls gave us a situation with the keywords harm, interfere, demand and gesture. Then we have a person who is a male halfling with neutral alignment who is envious and poor. Then we have an event which is an easy encounter, and then there's a further situation with the keywords fracture, leap, hide and end. We rejoin the adventure as the ship is just rounding the tip of Chillwind Point. So the first situation sounds like it could be an attack. So we roll on the Q&A oracle and say, does Clarissa hear an attack? We get a 20, so this is yes and. It seems likely that the halfling is the ship's bosun, Turik, and the ship's office would be used by the first mate, Grondar. So we ask the question, is the bosun Turik attacking the first mate? We roll a 16, yes. So how is a halfling going to be successful at attacking a half-orc? Does he have a gun? We roll an 8, so this is no but. Maybe he's using an explosive. This would make sense, given that Turik, as bosun, oversees the ship's deck, including the cannon, so he would have easy access to gunpowder. We again roll a 20, so this is yes and. As Clarissa sits on her bed reading, she hears a loud explosion and a cry of pain from close by. She jumps off the bed and goes to look out of the door. She sees the halfling Turik running back up the steps towards the main deck. She goes to the ship's office and finds the first mate Grondar badly injured with many cuts caused by pieces of shrapnel from the homemade explosive device. She lays her hands on Grondar and heals him quickly with cure wounds.
Thank you,
says Grondar.
Please catch that damn halfling. He has really gone too far this time.
Clarissa chases through the lower deck after Turik using feline agility. As she emerges onto the main deck, she sees Freya standing nearby. Freya, she calls, stop that halfling! In a flash, Freya responds, and she launches herself at Turik and tries to grapple him to the ground. But the Lightfoot halfling is too quick and just ducks under Freya's legs and then dashes to the main mast to try to escape. Freya has an opportunity attack against him, but without her axes, she can only swing a punch, which he ducks away from. Turik then nimbly climbs up the rigging of the main mast and tries to hide in the crow's nest. Seeing the attempted attack on their bosun, the other sailors then spring into action and draw their weapons against Freya and Clarissa. So we roll for initiative and the sailors attack. Peggy rushes down from the foredeck wielding her scimitar. She slashes at Freya, but the blade merely glances off Freya's breastplate. Ilsa then jumps down from the rear deck and tries to stab at Freya with her dagger. However, she stumbles as she lands and completely misses. Vlad then runs down the steps from the foredeck and stabs Clarissa with his dagger. The small but wicked blade slashes down her side, causing her to cry out in pain. The fourth sailor on deck, Jakob, decides that steering the ship is more important than getting involved in this scrap. The first mate Grondar then emerges from the lower deck and he shouts up to the halfling.
You won't get away with this, Turik. I know it was you who interfered with the food supplies to try to undermine me. You're sore because I got this job and not you. And now you're resorting to harming me with a homemade bomb.
Hearing all the commotion, the captain then emerges from his cabin and Connor from the warding room. Captain Baldrick shouts,
Calm down, everyone. I know who is to blame for this.
He points up at the crow's nest.
You've become a menace now, Turek, with your demanding gestures. Come down quietly, or do I have to send someone up there to get you?
Turek shouts back.
This is the end for you, Baldric. You're a useless captain, and the rest of the crew agree with me. And you, Grondar, you think this is all about me wanting your job. Well, you're wrong.
And he laughs maniacally as he lets off a homemade flare that streams up into the air and explodes in a bright flash. Damn him, says Baldric. Connor then shoots a firebolt up at the crow's nest. The fiery ball streaks through the air and hits the platform beneath Turek's feet. The wooden structure immediately bursts into flames. With the fire starting to burn all around him, the halfling leaps off the crow's nest to avoid the flames. He lands on the deck with a sharp thud and has clearly fractured a bone or two. However, despite his injuries, Turek continues to laugh crazily and shouts,
"It's all over for you now, Baldric."
Clarissa casts Hold Person on Turek. She pulls a small iron rod from her pocket. She holds it up as she concentrates on him. Turek fails to resist this, and his limbs go stiff as he is paralysed, still with a maniacal grin on his face. Freya quickly moves forward and starts tying him up. Suddenly, there's a loud explosion off the port bow, and a large splash of water goes up as a cannonball lands in the water close by. They all look up and see a pirate ship bearing down on them, guns blazing.
"We're under attack," shouts Grondar. "Man the cannons."
"Jakob, evasive manoeuvres now," shouts Baldric. So we roll to find out which of the crew are part of this mutiny with Turek and which are loyal to the Frosty Maiden. We roll above 10 for Vlad, Ilsa and Peggy, so they are all mutineers. Only Jakob remains loyal to the captain.
"No, we won't, Grondar,"
says Peggy.
"We're with Turek and the pirates."
And they all brandish their weapons. Ilsa darts forward to engage Captain Baldric, and she stabs at him with her dagger. It slices into his arm and draws blood. Peggy thrusts at Freya for a second time with her scimitar, but again the blade is stopped by Freya's breastplate. Vlad runs past Clarissa to engage Grondar. He draws his scimitar and swings it at the half-orc. The blade connects and slices into Grondar's shoulder, wounding him further. As the pirate ship bears down on them, we roll for initiative between the two ships. The pirate ship attacks first. It makes a second cannon shot. There is a loud explosion and the cannonball whistles through the air. It just misses, landing with a large splash to the stern of the Frosty Maiden. The pirate ship then shifts direction and turns onto an intercept course. Jakob skillfully handles the ship's wheel and tries to evade the enemy's ship's attack. So we roll a wisdom contest between the two ship pilots to see if he is successful. Jakob fails to outwit the pirate pilot, so the Frosty Maiden does not have increased evasion from attacks on this round. He does, however, manage to steer the ship away into a run, going as fast as possible with the easterly wind behind them. Back on deck, Grondar ignores Vlad's strike on him. Instead, he runs to the portside cannon and prepares to fire. He lights the fuse and the cannon recoils back with the force of the explosion. The cannonball skims across the water towards the pirate ship. However, the trajectory falls short and there is a large splash close to the pirate ship hull, which does no damage. Baldric then retaliates against Ilsa. He draws a wickedly curved long blade and slashes it at her. It strikes her across the chest, causing a deep gash. Connor holds up a pinch of fine sand and throws it into the air around the mutinous crew. He casts the sleep spell. Turek, Ilsa and Vlad all succumb. They immediately fall into a slumber and their weapons clatter to the deck. Connor then grabs a rope and starts to tie Ilsa up. Clarissa does the same to the now sleeping Vlad. Freya turns and attempts to grapple Peggy, the remaining mutineer. Freya throws herself at Peggy, knocking her over and pinning her to the ground. Freya then calls,
"Hey, Clarissa, come and help me tie this one up as well."
Meanwhile, the pirate ship attempts to close the ground on the Frosty Maiden, but it fails and its progress is slowed by 1 mile an hour. It then fires both cannons, this time with disadvantage as it is no longer in the optimal broadside position. The first cannon fires and succeeds. The cannonball whizzes through the air and smashes into the bowsprit, breaking the ropes and leaving the foresails flapping uselessly in the breeze. This damage to the sails slows the Frosty Maiden. The pirate ship then fires its second cannon, but the cannonball flies wide of its mark, passing harmlessly to the rear. The Frosty Maiden again performs evasive manoeuvres and this time succeeds, so the ship now has increased evasion from attacks for the next round. Grondar then fires a single portside cannon. This time the strike is successful, and it puts a hole in the pirate ship's hull. This damages it, but does not slow it. Back on deck, Peggy tries to stab at Freya for a third time with her scimitar, but fails to hit with Freya holding her down.
Haha, Peggy, you really need to learn how to use that blade, says Freya.
Baldric approaches the ship's rail and pulls out a spyglass to scrutinise the pirate crew.
Just as I thought, that ship is the Black Siren. It's our old friend Captain Maleg, up to his usual tricks. Turek must have been plotting with him to capture the Frosty Maiden.
Clarissa pulls out a small vial of holy water and sprinkles it as she casts Bless on Jakob, Grondar and Connor, giving them an increase on their attack or saving throws. Whilst holding her down, Freya punches Peggy in the nose. The attack crits and knocks her unconscious. The 4 mutineers have now been overcome. Freya dashes below to fetch her weapons. However, the threat from the pirate ship still continues. It tries to close again on the Frosty Maiden, and this time its speed is increased by 2 miles an hour. Now in a broadside position, the 2 starboard cannons fire again. The first cannon fires but fails. As the Frosty Maiden has increased evasion, the cannonball drops harmlessly into the water alongside. The second cannon fires and hits. The large ball of iron flies through the air. There is a crash of splintering wood as the cannonball smashes into the rear mast, taking out the rear sails and slowing the Frosty Maiden further. Grondar then fires from the Frosty Maiden with disadvantage, and the cannonball flies harmlessly behind the Black Siren pirate ship. The Frosty Maiden again succeeds with evasive manoeuvres, so continues to have increased evasion against the attacks.
Keep it up, Jakob. You're doing a fine job of steering there, shouts Baldric.
As the ship is now in range, Connor moves up to the aft deck and casts magic missile at the crew on the other ship. The missiles streak across the water and hit 3 of the crew manning the cannons. Clarissa moves up onto the foredeck and casts Sacred Flame in the same place, but the pirate dodges the attack. Freya then runs back onto deck with her axes. The Black Siren tries to close again, and its speed is increased further. However, the ship is now no longer at an angle where it can attempt to fire the cannon on the Frosty Maiden. As the pirate ship moves closer, the Frosty Maiden attempts to make a sharp turn away. It succeeds, but has to sacrifice some movement to do so. The pirate ship then surges forward again and successfully comes alongside. Jakob tries to perform evasive manoeuvres to break away, but this time he fails the wisdom contest. The pirate ship is now in a position to grapple the Frosty Maiden. They can now all see the thuggish-looking gang of pirates leering at them as they throw across grappling hooks and haul the ships closer together. They then lay out gangplanks to bridge the gap between the 2 ships. Freya stands at the end of one of the boarding planks and readies her great axe. The captain and Grondar stand at the other 2 planks, with Connor and Clarissa standing up on the 2 raised decks fore and aft. The ship's cook peeks up through the hatch from below to see what all the noise is about. Seeing the horde of pirates about to board, he quickly ducks back down again, muttering something about burning soup. At that moment, a large burly pirate steps onto the plank. Captain Maleg is a tall, powerful human in his late 40s. He has long, dark, straggly hair and an unkempt beard. He wears a black tattered coat and has a black tricorn hat, clearly taken from a naval captain. In his main hand he wields a long, deadly curved scimitar, and in his offhand a wicked-looking dagger with a twisted blade.
Well, if it isn't Captain Maleg, what a surprise. How kind of you to pay us a visit, says Baldric. I see you're still not bothering with the personal grooming. What can I do for you?
The pirate captain doesn't answer, but slides his eyes along the deck of the Frosty Maiden. He can see the tied-up crew members, the evidence of the failed mutiny. They are all awake now and struggling in their bonds. It is obvious that he is comparing the numbers of active crew on each ship. Turek then calls out,
Maleg, save us! I did everything we planned.
Grondar runs over and stuffs a gag in Turek's mouth.
So, Baldric, how's the tourist business going?
Sneers the pirate captain, whilst looking at Freya, Clarissa and Connor.
It's going very well, thank you, replies Baldric, although it does seem to be hard to come by loyal crew these days.
Maleg laughs derisively.
Well, I don't have that problem. Maybe I should come and take control of this ship and show you how it's done.
He looks at Freya standing at the edge of the ship by the boarding plank, glaring at the pirates on the far side.
Folks, for your safety, I suggest you landlubbers stand aside.
Captain Maleg, for the safety of you and your crew, I suggest you leave, replies Baldric.
pirate captain laughs.
You barely even have a skeleton crew. We outnumber you 3-1.
Baldric replies, Connor, would you care to show the pirate captain your skills? Connor casts Firebolt up at the pirate ship Crow's Nest, which immediately bursts into flames. One of the pirate crew rushes to grab a swab bucket and starts filling it with water from over the side.
Says Maleg. I see you've taken on a ship's mage. Even so, your odds are not great. I'll do you a deal, Baldric. You hand over the sweet little frosty maiden to me, and I'll let you, your crew, and your passengers go free without harm. I'll even take that annoying little halfling off your hands.
Turek says something through his gag, but it's impossible to make out the words. I'm not giving up a ship, Baldric replies.
If you want her, you'll have to come and claim her.
We roll an intimidation check for Baldric of 19. So does the pirate captain decide to attack? We roll a 12, so this is yes but. So maybe this means he starts the attack, but then something happens to stop it.
Well, you asked for this, Baldric. Attack!
Shouts Captain Maleg. So we roll for initiative between the two crews, and the pirates lead the attack. The largest two pirates approach across the gangplanks, brandishing their scimitars. The first one steps onto the boarding plank towards Grondar and swings his deadly curved blade. However, he wobbles on the narrow plank, and the blade flails widely in the air. The second pirate then steps towards Freya and stabs at her, but the strike falls short. A third pirate then tries to leap across the gap between the two ships and onto Connor. He launches himself successfully across the gap and strikes his scimitar down as he lands in front of Connor. However, Connor immediately casts Shield, which deflects the blade harmlessly away. A further pirate tries to leap across onto Clarissa. However, he misjudges the gap and falls between the two ships. There's a loud splash as he hits the water and a gurgled cry as he sustains damage. The other pirates then move up behind their gangmates, with one staying back on the aft deck to hold the helm. Baldric then steps forward and strikes at Captain Maleg with his sword. Despite the pirate captain's attempt to parry, the sharp curved blade slices a long gash across his chest.
Damn you, Baldric,
shouts Maleg, and he retaliates. The pirate captain attacks Baldric. He makes a forehand slash with his scimitar, but Baldric swiftly ducks and the blade swishes through the air. However, the backhand slice is successful and strikes Baldric across the shoulder, leaving a deep wound. Maleg then follows up with a stab to the chest with his dagger, but the thrust falls short. Seeing the surge of pirates coming forward, Clarissa clasps her holy symbol of a cat's paw on her necklace. "Please protect us," she whispers, and casts Radiance of the Dawn. A brilliant blaze of dazzling light surges out from her in all directions. 6 out of the 8 pirates are in range and need to make a Constitution save. 4 of these fail and take the full force of the blast. Only the captain and 2 of the pirates succeed, but they still take half damage. As the bright light fades, they can all see that 4 of the pirates are now lying dead on the deck or on the gangplanks, and the others are badly wounded. Only the helmsman, standing out of range on the aft deck, has avoided the attack.
"What is this crazy cat magic?"
cries Captain Maleg, seeing his dead crew.
"Retreat! Pull away!"
Clarissa stands in shock, looking at the scene of destruction. "By the light! What have I done?" she cries. "I didn't expect to kill them all. Just hurt them a bit to stop them attacking us." She runs forward and desperately tries to reach the fallen pirates to cast Spare the Dying, but the pirate ship is already pulling away and the planks drop into the water along with the dead bodies. Then there's a cry of help from the water below. The young pirate who fell in the water is still alive. Grondar throws him a rope and they haul him out. Clarissa runs over to heal him. "Thank goodness one of you is all right." The others all cheer at Clarissa.
"That was amazing,"
says Freya.
"You saved us. How can I thank you?" says Baldric.
No, that was awful. That wasn't meant to happen." And she rushes below deck to her cabin. As the pirate ship pulls away, the Frosty Maiden sets sail again towards Everpool, but at a slow pace with damage to both fore and aft sails. Grondar and Connor bundle the still tied-up mutinous crew into the foredeck cabin, and Freya goes below to check on Clarissa. She knocks on the cabin door.
"Are you okay, Clarissa? Do you want to talk?"
"Go away. I can't speak to you right now." Freya returns to the main deck. After a few further hours of uneventful sailing, the ship moors in a bay along the coast about 50 miles out from Everpool. So let's roll for our final random encounter check for the day. We roll a 4, so yes, there is an encounter. We roll an 18 on the random encounter table, and this is hidden loot. As Freya is watching the ship drop anchor by a small rocky island, she sees something nestled amongst the rocks.
Captain Baldric, may I borrow your spyglass?
With this, she can see clearly that there's an old wooden chest sitting on the island. Of course, Freya can't resist the pull to go and check inside for loot. The captain agrees that Jakob can row her over to the island to investigate. Whilst the chest has a lock, it has long since rusted and easily breaks off when Freya strikes it with her axe. She peers into the chest, and to her amazement, she finds an unexpected magical item inside. Later that evening at dinner, Baldric opens a bottle of his best brandy and drinks to their success at the driving away of the pirates. However, Clarissa is not present as she decides not to join them. After dinner, Freya returns to the cabin. Clarissa is lying in her bunk.
Are you okay, Clarissa?
I don't know, says Clarissa shakily. I didn't expect the spell to be that powerful. I didn't mean to kill all those people.
But you saved us and the ship, says Freya. Baldric says that Captain Maleg is completely ruthless and would not have kept his word on letting us go free if he took the ship. Everyone agrees you're a hero.
Clarissa doesn't say anything.
And look, I've got something for you. We found it on a little rocky island near where we're moored.
She grins widely as she holds up a bag of holding.
Baldric says you can have it as a reward.
Clarissa sighs. No, I don't want a reward for killing all those pirates. You have it, Freya. It's what you've always wanted.
Oh, okay. Thanks, says Freya. If you're sure, Clarissa.
And she grins even more widely.
Oh, and I saved you some supper.
No thanks, says Clarissa. I just need to sleep now. And there we will leave our party for now, with Clarissa still in shock following the battle with the pirates, and Freya feeling pleased with her find of a bag of holding. Tune again next time to follow our adventurers into the port of Everpool, and then onward to Lake Illuminata to reach the Wizard's Tower.